Ladies and gentlemen, the 2026 NBA season is right around the corner, and with that comes all of the preseason shenanigans us fans have to put up with. Kevin Durant looks happy as a child on Christmas to finally be back to a real contender again. On the other hand, though, the struggles of the Phoenix Suns have given D-Book a few new gray hairs and a look of despair on his face. Gosh, what happened to the Suns, man? Cooper Flagg, without playing a single game of basketball yet, has already shaken hands with the GOAT of basketball. Yeah, this could potentially end really bad. The Knicks are looking to conquer a virtually wide open Eastern Conference this year, but not without some jokes from Cat on Media Day. Luka Doncic, as we already know it, has taken his offseason training regimen really serious this year. Serious enough to inspire another Western Conference star to do the same. Speaking of the Pelicans, it looks like Jordan Poole regained joy for basketball after leaving the Gulag for 2 straight seasons in Washington. CP3 joined the Unction in Los Angeles. One last chance for many of the old stars of the game to win a championship before it's too late. Speaking of old men, Kevin Love is working on his best Omni-Man impression heading into the 2026 season. Jason Tatum's health is already looking way ahead of schedule, putting up game-like reps on the court in just September. And it wouldn't be an offseason without some good old LeBron lore. Not only was he getting his golf swing right, but apparently he has no intentions of waiting for Bryce James to get to the NBA. I guess playing with one son is good enough. Now, despite all of the player drama that happens around this time of year, it wouldn't be a proper NBA preseason without some good old rankings. Within the last month or so, ESPN dropped their yearly top 100 player rankings going into the upcoming regular season. Now, I'm not quite sure if this is just sophisticated rage bait, or if they threw this list together during their lunch break, but some of these rankings are pretty bad. Jalen Williams at number 11, above well-established vets like Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, and Jaylen Brown, seems a bit questionable. Wemby cracking the top 5 already, despite barely playing 2 seasons of basketball, is pretty bold. Domantas Sabonis ranked at 34, behind guys like Franz Wagner, Jaren Jackson Jr., Derek White, and Chet Holmgren, doesn't quite sit right with me. Jamal Murray being behind guys like OG Anunoby, his own teammate Aaron Gordon, Desmond Bane, and Ivica Zubac seems wrong. Evan Mobley at 13 seems too high. Trae Young at 29 seems too low. Now, I could go on all day nitpicking every last little placement on this list, but who am I to sit on my high horse of mocking reputable player ranks when I myself haven't given my own rankings? So I did just that. I went out of my way, crunched the numbers, maybe a little bit too hard, spent hours of my day to come up with my own rankings. And like the title says, this isn't just some top 10 list based off the eye test. It's not just some top 50 list. Heck, it's not even a top 100 list. No. I went out of my way to rank every single NBA player that's on a roster in the 2025-2026 season. Your favorite superstar, fringe all-star, lockdown defender, 3-point specialist, unknown role player, your uncle's favorite role player, your favorite garbage time warrior, everyone will be mentioned in today's video. A bit unnecessary, am I right? Absolutely. Do I care though? Not at all. Let's get into this list. Now, to make this list, I did more than just blindly select trash time players or role players for my favorite team. This ranking style is like no other because I didn't just go off the eye test and pick my own list, subject to my own bias and false perspectives. I created a whole statistical system in order to give each player a fair and accurate ranking without the bias and emotional pull of the eye test. I call it the player score. A player score is composed of 6 per game statistics and 7 advanced statistics that attempt to quantify a player's overall impact and value to their team. What are these 3 stats, you're asking? Well, I'll tell you. Points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, steals per game, blocks per game, and subtract turnovers per game. The 7 advanced stats get a little bit more complex though. Box plus minus, a stat that estimates how much a player contributes to their team's point differential per 100 possessions. Crafted Plus Minus. The website crafted NBA's version of Box Plus Minus, just with a greater emphasis on future player value. Value over replacement. A stat that shows how much a player's value is compared to the average NBA player. Win shares, a stat that shows how many wins a player generates their team throughout an 82-game season. DARKO, or Daily Adjusted and Regressed Kalman Optimized Model, a modern advanced stat that uses machine learning to track a player's performance and predict their future value. DRIP, or Daily Real Impact Projection, a stat that shows a player's impact on their team's point differential. And finally, Box Creation, a stat that estimates how many open shots a player creates for their teammates in 100 possessions. So I used these 13 unique stats and found them for every single player from last season. And I did a whole lot of number crunching to come up with everyone in the league's player score. But it wasn't that simple though. There were quite a few challenges that came up when I was doing this experiment. I think the biggest flaw of using numbers from last season is how do we rank rookies? Some people would just opt to leave them off of their list, but that feels a little bit disingenuous looking at all of the amazing talent that's coming into the league this year. So I did some digging into the projections of all 59 rookies' first year stat lines, some sources better than others of course, and came up with some rough estimate stat lines, along with fabricating some advanced stats based off their per game numbers. I know, it's far from perfect, but I think this beats excluding rookies from this experiment altogether. Next off, another huge thing to consider when ranking players is how age affects the league, both in a positive and a negative way. It's no secret that the league won't just stay stagnant from last year. Some players will have massive leaps, while others may get noticeably worse. Aging in the NBA is a real thing, and it definitely needs to be accounted for. So to factor aging into this equation, I created a parabola that aims to give players boosts or drops in their 2026 attributes based on their age. For fringe all-star level players or better, so anyone in the top 50, I decided to use this parabola where the peak age is at 29, where the increases and decreases are sharper towards the near beginning and tail ends of their careers, while being more conservative near their peak age of 29. However, NBA peaks look a whole lot different depending on what your role is, because role players in the NBA, or anyone that's ranked 51st or lower, has a significantly earlier prime, peaking at around ages 25 to 27, with the same levels of increases and decreases depending on their stage of their career. The final aspect I feel needs to be mentioned before the final ranks is injuries. Missing a significant amount of games last season is going to affect how your stats look, especially in the cumulative advanced metrics that we talked about before. So to balance things out for the injury bug, I decided to adjust every player's numbers per 82 games and leave out any players that have season-ending injuries heading into the 2026 season. So no Jason Tatum, no Tyrese Halliburton, no Damian Lillard, no Fred VanVleet. So how does this system actually look like though? Well, I'll give you guys an example player of Anthony Edwards. Ant-Man placed 7th place in the 2026 NBA player score rankings. Last year, he averaged 27.6 points, 5.7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.6 blocks, and he turned the ball over 3.2 times a game. He had a box plus minus of 4.3, value over replacement of 4.8, 8.7 win shares, a DARKO score of 3.7, a DRIP score of 3.3, a crafted plus minus of 3.9, and a box creation score of 9. Anthony Edwards is 24 years old going into the 2025-26 season, so he'll get a 4% boost to his attributes, taking his player score from 74.1 to 77.1. Anthony Edwards only finished shy of 6 NBA players and placed better than 592 of them, putting him at the 99th percentile of NBA talent. Hopefully this clears up the complexity of this ranking system. Now I think it's time to unveil the final ranks. Now, like any list, we're going to start all the way from the bottom and work our way up to the top. I'm going to try my best to make my way through NBA players ranked 100 anywhere into the 500s. Feel free to skip through the timestamps if you don't care about the scrubs of the league. before we start, I'd like to give a quick shout out to my man Tristan Newton of the Minnesota Timberwolves, because you're officially the worst player in the NBA in 2026, with a score of -29.2. Making these rankings, I really forgot how bad Cody Williams of the Charlotte Hornets was. I mean, his numbers last year were certified ass. I don't know why he gets so many minutes. Thanasis Antetokounmpo comes in at 579. Just 5 spots short of Bronny James at 574. Let me know in the comments who wins in a 2v2, Giannis and Thanasis or LeBron and Bronny. Tristan Thompson makes an appearance at 545, along with Celtics backup center Xavier Tillman. Gosh, the Celtics are so cooked this year. Shifty guard from the Timberwolves, Rob Dillingham, barely cracks the top 500, along with my uncle's favorite role player, Pat Spencer, at 467, along with my other uncle's favorite role player, Tyler Kolek, at 470. Mr. Fortnite suit himself, Kevin Knox, places at 475, along with Miami Heat's third option during their 2023 finals run, Gabe Vincent, at 464. Moving on to ranks 375 to 449, Rockets backup point guard Reed Shepherd places at 440. Patrick Williams, who's been getting progressively worse since his rookie season, ranks at 425. The other Shepherd in the league, Ben Shepherd, ranks at 409, along with good old washed up Eric Gordon right above him. Caleb Martin, who is in contention to win the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals MVP over prime Jimmy Butler, ranks at 400, and Big Booty Kyle Lowry places at 380. Moving on to numbers 300 to 374, sharpshooter Dalton Connect ranks at 369, along with his former teammate for about a half a season, Max Christie, who ranks at 345. Mo Bamba, who's more famous for a song named after him and his actual basketball abilities, ranks at 332. Fourth quarter yelling, "Why the fuck Batum?" If you know, you know. And right below Batum is the Celtics starting center. Now, moving on to the consistent rotation players in the NBA, breaking into the 300 mark, Kevin Love barely cracks the top 300, along with Grady Dick at 296. Ben Simmons headed into the Big 26, barely misses the top 250. Marcus Smart ranks at 231. Along with some other notable role players like Benedict Mathurin, Jeremy Grant, and KCP. Moving into the area where you'll find a lot of the 6th and 7th men of the NBA, ranks 150 to 224. Warriors backup center Trayce Jackson Davis ranks at 222, along with Lakers former starting center Jackson Hayes at 212. Last year's Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle ranks at 199. I'm surprised Andrew Nembhard slipped down to 191. Lower than that is sharpshooter Luke Kennard at 180. The third head of the three-headed snake in Phoenix is Dylan Brooks at 172. You guys remember the Killian Hayes jokes? Well, I think we should put them to bed now. Russell Westbrook isn't technically on a roster, but I'm still not losing hope just yet. Now, congrats to anyone that's in the top 150. You've officially earned yourself a headshot in my slides, and you're probably good enough to be an NBA starter. Seeing Bradley Beal's downfall before our own eyes is kind of sad, to be honest. The same guy who averaged 30 points a game just a couple seasons ago. Al Horford's 50-year-old ass is still trucking and dominating his role. OKC's Isaiah Joe is really falling below people's radar heading into 2026. DeAndre Ayton is a huge question mark heading into 2026. He could either raise 100 ranks or drop 100 ranks by 2027. There's really no in between. Chris Middleton is stuck in Washington after being on a contender for close to 7 years. His former teammate Drew Holiday also went to the Gulag after about 5 years spent with contenders. Now, moving on to the typical 3rd to 4th options on most teams, Chris Paul still finds a way to almost crack the top 100. Draymond Green is still excelling at his role as the MMA fighter for the Warriors. Lauri Markkanen deserves to be on the next page of 16 to 60 that I'll show, to be honest. Paul George is at 88, and he'll probably bounce back after a rough 2025 season. The second head of the Phoenix Suns' big three is right here. Cooper Flagg, despite not playing a single NBA game yet, ranks at 66, above tons of reputable NBA starters. Nikola Vucevic is going to have to become prime Wilt Chamberlain in 2026 for the Bulls to have any chance of making the playoffs. Now, moving on to ranks 16 to 60, your typical second and even first options for most teams. Peyton Pritchard, to my surprise, cracks the top 60, despite coming off the bench for for almost all of 2025. Cam Johnson is a huge upgrade for Denver over MPJ. Jaylen Brown at 53 is crazy low. I mean, his own teammate Derek White is above him at 43. Kevin Durant at 35 is blasphemously low, along with his former teammate D-Book right by him. LaMelo Ball and Zion Williamson, who have never played a playoff game in their entire careers, are inside the top 20. You know, that mention really has nothing to do with this ranks, but I just thought I'd throw it in there. Getting back on track though, it's the time you guys have all been waiting for. The top 15 players in the 2025-26 season, and this top 15 might upset some people. At 15 is Karl Anthony Towns, who averaged 24, 12, and 3 with nearly 12 win shares last year and was a vocal point in the Knicks' new 2025 offense. Number 14 is the second best shooting guard in the league right now, Donovan Mitchell, who led the Cavs to the 1 seed in the East last year. James Harden's at 33, where he averaged around 22 and 8 last year with some pretty good stats, like a box creation score of 13.3. Cat's teammate Jalen Brunson's at 12, who averaged 26 and 7 last year with some pretty good advanced stats. Baby Jokic, Domantas Sabonis, is ranked at number 11, where he averaged around 19, 13, and 6 last year at around 12 win shares. Cracking the top 10 now, we have the babyface assassin Steph Curry, still putting up superstar level production and still having championship hopes at age 37. At number 9, we have Cade Cunningham, whose presence in 2025 brought the Pistons from dead last to the 6th seed in the East in 1 season. Good old 40-year-old LeBron James is still a top 10 player headed into 2026, still able to score the ball and create for his teammates at an elite level. Like we mentioned before, Ant-Man ranks at number 7, and I heard he added a post game for 2026. Should be interesting to watch. Anthony Davis flew under a lot of people's radars in 2026, and I guess he flew a little too high on someone else's radar last February, because he comes in at number 6, still averaging an impressive 24, 11, and 4 stocks a game. But really getting into defense now, we have Victor Wembanyama, who I guess does deserve a top 5 spot in the rankings, with actually very similar numbers to Davis, just with more defensive impact. Luka Doncic places at number 4, where he'll be playing with a chip on his shoulder for sure in 2026. Even on a bad season, Luka was still averaging 28, 8, and 8 last year. Moving into the top 3 right now, we have the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is the first player to crack a player score of triple digits. He'll pretty much have to turn in the 2018 LeBron just for the Bucks to achieve anything in 2026. Now, the guy who won every single award under the sun last year ranks at number 2 with a player score of 119.5, looking to protect his throne as the MVP and the champion. But at number 1 though, was the man who was robbed of MVP last year, with an absurd player score of 133.7, 14 points better than Shea's. I mean, once you heard all the stats that went into making these rankings, I'm sure Nikola Jokic at number 1 was everyone's first thought, or at least mine. Now, let's address the elephant in the room real quick though. These rankings are far from perfect. Taking a look at the top 50 real quick, the top 15 in my opinion is pretty solid, and nothing's too wildly off. Anthony Davis and James Harden are a bit too high, but it's still decent. LaMelo Ball and Zion Williamson are also a bit too high in the late teens. Paolo Banchero is way too low. Kristaps Porzingis is not in the same level of a player as Jimmy Butler or Kyrie Irving. KD at 34 and D-Book at 35 are both massive crimes. Bam Adebayo should be about 10 spots higher. Jamal Murray should also be around 10 spots higher. And players like Jaylen Brown and Julius Randle not being in the top 50 is pretty ridiculous. But I still think this list is pretty solid. Taking a look at the 2025 All-Star selections on the 2026 top 50 list, last year there was a total of 26 All-Star selections. Dame, Tatum, and Halliburton all didn't qualify for this list due to injuries. Jaylen Brown, who was an All-Star, once again is nowhere to be found in the top 50. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Pascal Siakam caught a little bit of a break, while a man named Domantas Sabonis got utterly robbed of an All-Star selection. Looking at the All-NBA selections now, SGA, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic were all on the NBA first team last year, 3 of which are in the top 3 going into 2026. One of them is 14, and one of which, Jason Tatum, didn't qualify for this list. The All-NBA second team was Jalen Brunson, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, LeBron James, and Evan Mobley. All 5 of these players rank anywhere from 7th at the highest and 17th at the lowest. The All-NBA third team was Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, James Harden, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Jalen Williams. These 3 placed at 9th, 13th, 15th, 18th, and Tyrese Halliburton didn't qualify. So is this list perfect? Far from it. But until I see someone else rank every single player in the NBA without making some terrible mistakes, I think this list is pretty good. Thank you so much for sticking around to watch the end of this video. If you guys are interested in buying tickets for the upcoming NBA season and want to save money on them, go to Vivid Seats and use promo code BUCKETS20 to get 20% off. Links in description. See ya.